you just put a couple of filters on these days and you can be, effulgent.
I think it's the effulgence coming from practice and coming from the blessings of a divine mother like Ananga Manjari Devi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Would you mind speaking like a couple of sentences? Because sometimes we just have some fluctuation, just to test the sound real quick. Is that okay?
Rishi, do you want to speak?
No, that's you. They want you to speak.
All right. Well, Hare Krishna, everyone. I'm grateful to be here and honored. Thank you very much.
That's pretty good. I think we can hear it clearly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we can get started with the kirtan as the devotees are streaming in, and they'll be enjoying the stream of nectar.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Praja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Oh Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jaya Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Girivaradhari Hare Krishna. My name is Vishwambar, and I have the wonderful fortune of having a mother like Ananga Manjari, Devi. And I have the wonderful fortune of being able to introduce her today to the esteemed Towaco, ISKCON Towaco Zoom conference that has become, I was telling Madan Gopal Prabhu, the most happening place in the entire cyber world, ISKCON cyber world right now, or in ISKCON in general. So let me introduce my mother. My mother, Ananga Manjari, she's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. She joined in Boston, and she was, I think, she was always a searcher. She was always searching for the absolute truth. Ever since she was a young girl, she questioned her teachers. She questioned the community and the culture that she grew up in. She became vegetarian at a very young age, just by kind of being exposed to that before even coming to Krishna consciousness. She heard the devotees chanting in the Boston Commons, and I think she heard them a few times, and the holy name just resonated in her heart, and she found herself chanting all the time. Skipping around through parks and walking on the beaches chanting. She's a lover of nature. And after joining ISKCON as at the age of 16, moving into the temple, dropping out of high school, much to the chagrin, I think the word is, of her Italian parents. You know, but she always had this search for God, and she very much has expressed to me that she feels like Jesus, growing up in a Roman Catholic community, Jesus led her to Krishna, and she's always kept those roots of her spirituality, those roots. She joined ISKCON. She was, life went fast. She was joined ISKCON at 16, married at 17, widowed by before 19, 18, 19. Widowed in the sense that her former husband, Hridayananda Das Goswami, took sannyas. And she herself, at that point, was living as a sannyasini, completely renounced, with no ties to the material world, and completely dependent on Krishna and Prabhupada's society. In that time, she went to Mayapur. This is way back in the day when I think there was only maybe 1 or 2 buildings. And she served Prabhupada's sister, Pishima, as Pishima passed away from this. And she was serving Pishima when Pishima was towards the end of her life. And she happened to be there while Pishima left this world, left her body, and the experiences that she had in that are some of the most mystical stories I've ever heard. Eventually, she had us. She married my father, Bhadradas, and she has 3 children, myself, Vishwambar, my 2 sisters, Ganga and Jamuna. And I would just say that my mother embodies the Bhagavad Gita. There's that verse, Susukam kartum avyayam, that this process is to be joyfully performed. And my mother has raised us with that enthusiasm and that joy of Krishna consciousness. She always made it fun for us. She always made Krishna consciousness fun for us. And in that way, we've stayed connected, and she can dance. I won't say how old she is, but she dances like she's younger than the teenage girls in kirtan, and she is a wellspring of wisdom, Krishna conscious wisdom, that at one point was freely flowing, that she was able to share with the world when she was leading a brahmacharini traveling Sankirtan party, etc. But due to different circumstances, becoming a mother, dedicating herself to us, we've been a recipient of her wisdom, of her knowledge, of her empathy, of her open-mindedness, and her broad perspective and inclusiveness in invitingly sharing Krishna consciousness. And I'm very, very grateful to the Towaco community and to other communities that are now recognizing her and allowing her to share. And I pray and I hope that Krishna opens up more and more doors for you, Mama, so that you can uplift the world with your deep heart.
Aww.
Thank you very much. I pass it over to my mother, Ananga Manjari Devi Dasi.
Thank you very much, Vish. And thank you everyone for having invited me. Thank you, Vish, for the sweet devotional and melodious tune, a beautiful, glorious noise to the Lord. It's a beautiful, heartfelt. Yes, Krishna consciousness is joyful. I've always experienced that from the beginning. Real Krishna consciousness is joyful. So,
sorry, let me add one more thing. She's the only one, I think, that can get away with wearing sunglasses at an ISKCON Zoom conference. And I forgot to say, but she banged her eye really hard in the ocean, and so she's very fashionable. Just so you all know.
So as we're as we're speaking of the tides of time, the tide had turned on me and turned me over under. And so I have a black eye. It'll be temporary, but I appreciate that I can offer this class anyway. So thank you for tolerating the sunglasses. It helps my eyes also to be more soothed, yeah, because of the light. So today we're going to be speaking about embracing Krishna as time in these challenging times that we're all facing. Right now, the pandemic of COVID, along with the upheaval of the political situation, diversifying everyone to extremes on all sides, and the intolerance of racial injustice that is going on in America. So these things are coming as in time and hitting us all at once. So we're all affected by it. No matter how much you try to seclude yourself, as long as we are here in this material world, we are affected by these events that occur beyond our power, beyond our ability to change it immediately. So we're going to talk about embracing Krishna as time in these challenging times. And first, I'd like to establish Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Father Time. So we know from Bhagavad Gita, there are many verses that talk about Krishna as time. Time, never was there a time that I did not exist, nor you. Krishna is saying, everyone is eternal. Time, and therefore time is eternal. In time, things we keep shifting. But sometimes I'm a king, and sometimes I'm a woman, and sometimes I'm black, and sometimes I'm white. And these are the shifting waves of time that move us in this world. So Krishna also says, among subduers, I am time. So he ultimately, time subdues everything. Time I am, the destroyer of the worlds, and I come to engage everyone. As devouring death, I engage everyone, because everyone in time must die, must grow old, must get diseased, must have some happiness and some distress, all within time. So this is how our lives are moving and shifting constantly. There was a little story about Prabhupada. I think it was in Calcutta, and they were having some bomb, I don't know, they were preparing for bombs maybe falling or something. And there were sirens going on, and the devotees were saying, Prabhupada, what if a bomb falls now? And Prabhupada says, then we begin kirtan here, and we will end it in Krishna Loka. So for us, we say, oh, here's Krishna coming to take me. And then there's the scientist Oppenheimer, when he saw the nuclear weapon that he created, helped create, he saw the devastation that was taking place, and he quoted the verse in Bhagavad Gita, that time I am, the destroyer of everything. Whether he sees that as God himself or not, but the point is he saw this devastation as something beyond anyone's control, and inevitable destruction. So time destroys, and yet then time creates, and it goes in cycles. It's constant, constantly changing. Therefore, time is eternal. We say eternal time. That's how it is eternal, even though it's part of this material world. So our life culminates in death, but then our death culminates in life. And of course, we are looking for a transcendental life, which is great. I wrote a little poem about time, so I'm going to read that now, because we're establishing time as something wonderful. The wheels of time. Time is constant. Time is constantly moving and changing. In time, everything is manifested, and in time, it is all destroyed. Time is but a relative illusion, yet it is most tangible and calculative. Time is the great healer. In time, we may be able to get through what we cannot get over. Time flies and time stands still, but only for a moment. Time waits for no one, yet we all wait for what time has in store. Time holds our memories, both good and bad. Time also holds our hopes and fears. We have lost the past and hope for the future. It is only in this present moment of time that we can be sure. Time can be on our side, or time can act against us. Time exhilarates us and then bores us. Time can be elusive and easily slip through our fingers, yet it is powerful, persistent, and precise. We may lose track of time, but time does not lose track of us. Time is precious, always to be respected. Time takes our breath away and then takes our life. Time is the great equalizer. So, that's my little idea coming from Gita, from personal experience, putting all of this together. So now Krishna has come in time as COVID and as these other upheavals that we're experiencing. I like to call it COVID chaos because it's creating chaos. It's making people lose their friends. It's making people fearful to extremes. And sometimes it's, for real reasons that people would be fearful. So it's chaos because everyone is confused. They say time and tide wait for no man, or our time is running out. Every generation, I was thinking, has some challenge. And our generation so far has not had such big challenge. We had some amazing changes throughout our lives from in technology, in so many things, education and science and, in spiritual knowledge. So many things have changed in the society since we were young, but it hasn't been such a huge challenge as this time right now with COVID and political chaos and COVID chaos. So now the tide of our lives have turned, and how to perceive it, how to understand it, how to live with it, how to continue going on without feeling overly overwhelmed or devastated by it. So we turn to Srimad Bhagavatam, the wisdom of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a verse, Yatra Dharma Suto Raja. And this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9. Bhishma is saying, well, there's a couple of verses. There's a few verses in this area of Chapter 9. Bhishma is saying, by the tricks of eternal time, everyone is carried away, just as clouds are carried by the wind. I thought this is very poetic. He's lying on his deathbed, Bhishma, with arrows stuck in his body, and he's being so poetic about the tricks of eternal time. Carries everyone away, just as the clouds are carried by the wind. So he starts to explain to Yudhisthira, who's lamenting. Yudhisthira is saying, oh my God, all this devastation I have caused from this war. And now all these women and children are left without protection, and I've killed so many great heroes, and my karma, this is so bad. I'm creating bad karma. I've created this bad karma for others. And he's lamenting because he's soft-hearted. He's Dharma personified. So he's the most soft-hearted. When one has dharma, religiosity, then one is soft-hearted and compassionate. Main quality of real dharma, true dharma. So he's feeling overwhelmed with sadness. And Bhishma is telling him that well, in the purport, Bhishma is telling him, this is not your fault, and it is not your karma, and we'll get to that in a moment. And Prabhupada starts explaining in the verse that even in the midst of Yudhisthira, who is dharma personified, so all religiosity was with the Pandavas, even with Arjuna's celestial bows and weapons, so even with all material, celestial material facility and the greatest of weapons that no one could defeat, even with Bhima, who was the most powerful of all the warriors, and even with Krishna as their friend, still they suffered so much. They suffered so much. And so then they suffered these reversals. Sarvakala kritam manye, by time, reversals will come to everyone, pious, impious, devotee, not, to everyone. So we may ask, why? How is this? Why is this? It's a trick of time. And what's the big trick? Well, and also in Bhagavatam and other places, the Lord's activities are described as avigyata chestata. That means unknown actions of the Lord. The Lord's actions are unknown. No one knows them. And it was explained in one of the purports, even the great devotees, even great sadhus and saints and learned people do not understand the actions of the Lord. So this unknown actions of the Lord, to understand the Lord's higher spiritual intentions is unknown to the blind conditioned souls with their petty material logic. What to speak of, even it's unknown to the great saintly people who don't always understand. Why is the Lord doing this? Why is this happening? I know all of us as devotees have questioned this. Why is this happening? And why are devotees getting affected? We are all affected. Why is a nice, wonderful, saintly devotee like Bhakti True Maharaj has passed away from our presence because of this disease? It's affecting everyone. So we don't know what the actual purpose of the Lord is, but we know something. And what we know for sure is about Krishna's purpose. And the only way we can know anything for sure is through Shastra Chakshus. So what we know for sure is yada yada hi dharmasya. He comes to establish virtue to minimize the burden of the earth. His sole interest, the Lord's sole interest, is to encourage devotees and bewilder the inimical. That's his sole interest. Whatever he does, this is the reason. So we understand that when people become too pompous and transgress the natural laws of nature and the spiritual virtues of the Lord, then disaster will occur. To give a chance to the pious to reconcile, those who are pious, they will reconcile. Oh my, now I must turn to the Lord. They'll reconcile, I've made so many mistakes, forgive me for my offenses. And he comes to also bewilder the inimical. So the inimical, as we see many in the political field, we're seeing some inimical elements, and they are becoming very bewildered. They're bewildering themselves. They're talking over themselves. Anyway, I won't become political here. This is not the place and time. But Krishna gave these chances to many of his devotees whenever anything untoward would happen to them, like the Pandavas. They kept turning to Krishna. They never turned away from him. So Bhishma's exact words on some of this, the translation that Prabhupada had given was, even the most pious, faithful to the Lord, suffers due to the inconceivable actions of time. One should not begrudge this. One should not begrudge this. We shouldn't, there's no blame, there's no resentment, there's no grudging these things that are happening. We have to take it in stride. And it's not karma. Bhishma is saying these things are not karma. It's not your karma. It's not my karma. It's the inexplicable will of the Lord. And that's in another verse that's in this area of the first canto. When something is beyond the control of any human being, it's understood as the inexplicable will of the Lord. Because if it's not being controlled by some human being, it's uncontrollable, then who else is it being controlled by? Right? So in the 11th canto, it's talking about the inexplicable will of the Lord. Just like Arjuna was engaged, Arjuna, Yudhisthira, they were engaged in their normal activity of fighting. This was their dharma. They did it many times. This wasn't the only time they fought. So they're engaged in an ordinary activity, but something extraordinary happens. You know, all these, you know, kings are killed and the sides that people took. Bhishma, even Bhishma, the great Bhishma, who was a great devotee of Krishna, took the wrong side. Inconceivable, inexplicable. So, just like I go swimming. I go swimming a lot. I swim so many times in a year, you know, as much as I can. And one wave of time just crashed me on the ground. So I was doing an ordinary activity, but something extraordinary happened. It doesn't happen every day. It happens occasionally. You know, and we all have experience in our lives of some day, just like any other day, we wake up and we're doing our normal things, but something inexplicable happens, whether good or bad, inexplicably good or inexplicably bad. And we've all suffered these things. An ordinary activity, something extraordinary happens, not necessarily your karma. Okay? This is Bhishma speaking, not me. Srila Prabhupada explains that the Lord wanted to execute the plan to establish virtue. Therefore, his own devotees had to suffer temporarily to establish the conquest of virtue. The Lord wanted to show that vice cannot conquer virtue. For one who has done good, evil cannot overcome them. So these are the verses that we hold on to. This is the knowledge and the personal relationship that each of us have with Krishna, that we know he will have our back. Yes, we may suffer. Yes, we may die. Yes, our loved ones may die. It's horrible and we will feel the pain. Not that devotees don't feel things. We are emotional. We feel it. But the difference is, which we will talk about more, how we respond to these things, how we do not give up our intentions of devotion and service to the Lord. That is the difference. So, even Bhishma was subdued because he fought on the wrong side. Even the pious Pandavas had to suffer as part of the collective karma of the Lord's plans. Prabhupada doesn't use the words collective karma, but we can understand that that is what is also happening when things are in political chaos, as the Battle of Kurukshetra. So we can sometimes say we're on the wrong place at the wrong time when something happens that's inexplicable, or we can actually view it as we are in the right place at the right time. Because we know the Lord will have our back ultimately. It says temporary suffering. The Pandavas had to undergo temporary suffering. So of course, this whole body and material life that we have here is temporary suffering. So here I'd like to, as an extra encouragement in this, I hope we're all feeling a little encouraged. and a little uplifted from this. I was in the room with Prabhupada in Delhi many, many years ago. I don't remember the year, 76 or 75 or 76, something like that. Maybe 75. We were in Delhi, and Prabhupada was having darshan in his room. There were only about 15 of us in the room. And I had met this very nice gentleman out in the market because I was going to buy lychees for Prabhupada. And I didn't know what lychees were actually at that time. fresh off the boat from America. I didn't know what lychees were. So I was wandering the marketplace, and I saw some gentleman saw me trying to talk to the fruit walla, and he spoke English. He was very educated, and he said, "Excuse me, can I help you, madam?" So I said, "Yes, I'm trying to get lychees for my spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Please come." And I invited him. And so he bought a whole pile of lychees, and he bought them for me and said, "Bring them and I'll come this evening for the darshan." So when he appeared, Prabhupada immediately saw, oh, he's an educated gentleman. He called him, come close, and sat right next to him. And he started speaking that everyone in this world is enjoying or suffering according to their karma. That everyone has this much happiness, this much distress, or this much happiness and this much distress. And he was going like this with his fingers, according to their karma. And then he said, but when you take to Krishna consciousness, you put yourself under the umbrella of the protection of the Lord, the Supreme Lord. It doesn't just mean ISKCON. I like to explain that. Anyone who has some devotion towards the Lord in whatever name, form that they, relate to the Lord in, they're being protected by the Lord. And so he was saying, when you come to Krishna consciousness, spiritual life, then you have no more karma. So he was saying, no more happiness, no more distress. And I was sitting there thinking, I have happiness and I have distress, and I'm trying to put myself under the, under the protection of the Lord's mercy and kindness. And I'm still suffering. And so I tried to understand it. So I was trying to calculate. So I raised my hand because he said it 3 or 4 times. No happiness, no distress, you will, So I raised my hand and said, Prabhupada, I said, we're trying to be devotees, but sometimes we feel happy and sometimes we feel distress. And before I could say the distress part, he went, it's all Krishna, it's all Krishna. Anytime you feel happy, that is coming from Krishna, he said. And then I couldn't help it, but I blurted out, and the distress too, Srila Prabhupada. Because right away I thought, okay, I understand my happiness is coming from Krishna, chanting the holy names, dancing in ecstasy. There's so many wonderful things happening here. We're making so many beautiful friends with God brothers and God sisters. We have a family. I mean, it's just amazing, So yes, I feel when you see the deities, how the devotees have so much devotion and they dress the deities, and this is all happy. But I have my personal distress. So I blurted out, and the distress too, Prabhupada. And then he said, yes, he says, it's all Krishna. It's all Krishna. He went like that 2 or 3 times, the way he expressed it. It's all Krishna. And then he said, just like the chatak bird. And he went like this. Sometimes the chatak bird, he said, the chatak bird never goes to any other source for water except for the rain. Chatak bird is only asking the rain, where is the clouds? Where is rain? Where is rain? He's begging the clouds. But he says sometimes he gets thunderbolt. And Prabhupada went like this, like right towards me. Thunderbolt. And everyone laughed. So Prabhupada said, yes, he goes to the clouds for rain, but sometimes he gets thunderbolt. And he did it again. So now I call that thunderbolt mercy. And it's not karma. They say Krishna kicks you, Krishna kisses you, it's all the same. I mean, may not feel the same. It doesn't feel the same to me, but we can understand this is, right now we're getting hit with thunderbolt mercy. So we can think of that. But the point is, the chatak bird doesn't still, even though he gets thunderbolt, he doesn't go anywhere else for his water. for his nourishment, for his nutrition, for his happiness, to quench his thirst. He only goes to the clouds. Where is water? Where is rain, please? So that's the devotee. He doesn't go anywhere else to get his thirst quenched. So, what does a devotee do when we have some difficulty? There's the prayer that Lord Chaitanya gives us to also pray. He says, "Oh my Lord, even if you handle me roughly by your embrace, or even if you make me brokenhearted by not appearing before me, I will not lose my faith. I will continue to wish to feel your presence, to wish to serve you, to wish to love you." And we can always turn to Prabhupada because he is the great lover of the Lord, and just put ourselves under his instructions. And that's as good as being at Krishna's lotus feet. So we also try to detach ourselves from this material nature. And how the one thing that helps me is just by remembering that everything's going to keep changing. It's going to keep changing. It doesn't stay the same ever. And that Prabhupada explained this material world is no place for a gentleman or a lady, not a suitable place for us. And in our suffering, as a good person feels compassion for others in their suffering. When they suffer themselves, their personal suffering, they think, I hope no one else has to suffer like this. I don't wish this on anyone. If I can help alleviate others' suffering, let me do that. So that's how we turn, pain and suffering into something that's beneficial for ourselves and others. Because when we feel compassion and devotion and care and concern for others, then we're on the right path. Here in Gainesville, I was with Prabhupada sitting in 1971. He came here in the summer of 1971. We invited him here. There was only a handful of devotees at the University of Florida, but many devotees came at that time from all other southern states. They came from New Orleans and Miami and different places. And anyway, there was an interviewer who from the university interviewed Prabhupada on a TV channel for the university. And he said, how can we tell who is a pure devotee or a great devotee of God? And Prabhupada was sitting there with his hand in his bead bag. We were all sitting on the floor around him. And he said, he is a perfect gentleman. Hare Krishna. So we want to be perfect gentlemen and ladies. And this place is not suitable for us. And we know that, but we try to make it as spiritual as possible. We try to create our life for our family, for our friends, for whoever we speak to, whoever we meet. We try to give them the best spiritual life because we know our knowledge and friendship, spiritual friendship, because we know that this is what's going to soothe them from this anxiety of this world. I was living in Philadelphia for a little while, and there was one elderly lady who lived in our apartment building, and she was a very devout Christian lady. She was very kind to me. When Vishy was just a baby, and she would always come and ask how he is and give us little things, and very sweet. She was 90-something years old. And then one time the ambulances came and they had to pick her up and bring her to the old age home, the nursing home. And I went to see her, and she was lying there in their, cot, and they were ready to take her out of her home. So she was looking at her home for the last time. And I asked her, I said, what can I do for you? What can I do to help you? And she said, honey, She said, I don't need anything. See right here in the corner. She pointed to the corner of the room and she said, Jesus is here right with me. He's coming with me. I'll be taking him with me. And wherever I go, he's with me. I don't have no fear. And I said, I hope that when I'm your age and things happen to me, I will be able to think like this and have this faith. And thank you for teaching me this. Beautiful lesson. Later on, we would visit her and bring cookies, prasadam, and different things. I dressed up Vishwambar as the Easter Bunny. He's probably going to be embarrassed for the rest of his life hearing this. And we brought baskets of cookie prasadam for all the elderly people in the home. So a devotee doesn't fear death. She was a devotee. She wasn't fearing death. She had Jesus by her side and in her heart. So a devotee doesn't fear death. They fear, what do they fear? What do we fear? The separation from the Lord, forgetting the Lord. That's what we fear. So when we see everything as Krishna's energy working, then we see him facilitating his purpose of establishing dharma and punishing the inimical, separating the chaff from the rice. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada gave that example. The battle of Kurukshetra had to happen to separate the chaff from the rice. What is the, who are the valuable beings who are going to help the world and who are those who are not? So it separates chaff from rice. And while that's happening, some of the rice gets thrown in with the chaff. So sometimes devotees suffer or die in the midst of this shuffling around. Not all, so does that, okay. I can't really ask questions, can I? But at some point I'll stop in a minute and ask if there's any questions. He's relieving the earth's burden. We watch him do that while we're having faith that this is Krishna's energy working. And we see him increasing our dependence on him. How many of us are praying a little harder? So this is the part of what I was going to say so far. How much time do we have?
We have another 20 minutes or so.
Okay, well, I'll ask right now if there's any questions or comments, and then I'll go on with a few other points that I had.
Okay. Actually, I had a question.
Sure.
But first, I want to thank you for a very wonderful talk.
Thank you.
It was very touching, and I want to thank my own mother, who's also online, Mother Vegavati, for coordinating this so that you could appear on this program. And she's also coordinated next week's speaker, Mother Madhumati. And
oh, wonderful!
Thank her for helping us coordinate. So thank you, Mother. And so my question. The analogy of the Jataka bird that Srila Prabhupada gave was very powerful because it refers to this idea that the Jataka bird does not compromise on the purity of what it takes in. Mm-hmm. It will not drink water that's fallen. It'll only drink water straight from there. And even if it means getting struck by lightning, every now and then it'll still keep flying upward toward the cloud, and it'll accept the pain of the lightning. And then Srila Prabhupada explains that whatever pain we get, it's not really pain, that it's not karma, it's just part of Krishna's mercy, just a different flavor of it. Mm-hmm. Now, when I am practicing Krishna consciousness or semblance of Krishna consciousness, and I face pains and disturbances and things like that, is it delusional of me to think that I am in the category of the Jataka bird and this is Krishna's mercy, or is this a regular karma? Because then if I think this is Krishna's mercy, then I'm already automatically placing myself in the category of devotees who are the Paramahamsas and seeking only the pure thing. So first of all, is it important for me first even categorize myself, whether I'm devotee or not devotee? And if so, I think it's maybe delusional of me knowing my depth of conditioning. So how should I look at that?
Okay, this is a very nice question. I think that we all seem to categorize ourselves maybe too much, my experience in seeing devotees, and also start categorizing each other as well. Oh, he's an advanced devotee, but this one's not. And, you know, because this one, and we kind of assume things of each other. Assuming is a very dangerous, you know, activity to do. And we do it all the time. So here you are practicing Krishna consciousness. You know, yes, maybe not 100%. Sometimes other desires come in or this or that, but are you, you know, what are you acting on? You know, what are you acting on? Are you following the instructions of the spiritual master? Are you following the guidelines of the Shastra as much as possible? You're absorbing yourself as much. Then, I mean, why are we putting ourselves so down all the time and thinking, oh, I'm not a devotee, Prabhu? I mean, you know, it's like, do we think that Krishna's standing there just waiting for us to mess up? Is that our Lord? Is that our Krishna? He's just standing, waiting for us to make some offense or, I mean, you know, we stress so much the offenses. And again, as Vishy said, this is a joyful process. What about, I think, just like Prabhupada always gave this example, if you have a higher taste, then the lower tastes don't even matter. You don't want a lower taste. If you're eating healthy, nice, fresh foods, you lose your taste for processed, sugary, you know, things that aren't healthy. So it's just a matter of absorbing ourselves in that happiness of Krishna consciousness, the joy that Krishna is so kind, he does have my back. And in the nectar of devotion, it's an instruction to have faith that the Lord will protect his devotee always. And so you say, well, I'm not a devotee. Then what are you doing? If you're not a devotee, then who is? So why, you know, when we judge ourselves too much, we're probably going to be more inclined to judge others. And that automatically, that is not a devotional activity to judge others. So we should be not so judgmental of ourselves or others. Of course, we do want to monitor our pulse. That is important. I like to say, it's like, you know, we monitor our pulse. So if you're feeling not so well, sometimes you feel your pulse. Oh, do I have a fever? Is my heart beating okay? You know, so if we're sometimes down and out in our spiritual enthusiasm, we may want to monitor our pulse and say, well, what do I do now? And if we need to, reach out to someone else who is seemingly happy in Krishna consciousness. Because happiness is a symptom that you are Krishna conscious, genuine happiness, not silly happiness, but genuine happiness. It's a symptom that you're spiritual. Is that helpful?
I'm feeling substantially happier after having heard. Thank you very much. No, I really appreciate it, and the importance of us recognizing that Krishna is actually so lenient. We can't even imagine how lenient he is. You know?
Yes, we don't want to take advantage of that. And that's the trick. That is exactly the trick. He's so merciful, so compassionate. But as soon as we think we can take advantage, oh, then I can lean back and just do any old, like Prabhupada said, now I chanted my 16 rounds, I can do whatever the hell I want, or any damn thing, or something. Prabhupada said something like that. So as soon as we take advantage of his kindness, then he's not so kind anymore. He's not going to be so inclined. It's just like a parent and a child. You do so much for your child. You train them to be able to, you know, make their own decisions, and you guide them and love them and everything. And, you know, as long as they're kind of somewhat appreciating that and going, oh, you want to give more and more and more time. And as soon as they take advantage, oh, my mom, she's going to, you know, pay all my way through college, or she's going to do this, and then I don't have to worry about anything. Then the parents feel also, they step back a little bit and they go, wait a minute, now you're just being a spoiled brat. So we don't want to be spoiled brat devotees. We want to be good children devotees, you know, right?
Thank you.
So I hope that helps.
That's perfect. Thank you very much. We have a question from Vijay Krishna Prabhu. from Portugal. He's been waiting in line.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Vijay.
How do you say Hare Krishna in Portugal? Hare Krishna. I don't know.
Ananga Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
I heard your question about how to say in Portuguese Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
There's no changing. We do not change it. We are not allowed to change it.
Okay.
It remains the same mantra,
Yes.
the international mantra.
Very good. I know. I'm just joking.
Yes, I know that you know. I am joking too.
Okay.
If I may, Mataji, before I ask my question related to your amazing class, maybe one of the best speakers in this Sangha until today, if I am allowed to say it.
No.
Mataji, Mataji, related to what Madame Gopal Prabhu just said, when I was doing my baby steps in Krishna consciousness, I was my motto, my mantra was, I am a pure devotee. and devotees were there discouraging me. Don't say that. Don't say that, because that's not Vaishnava etiquette. You should present yourself just because you are a neophyte, a bhakta. You should present yourself to the congregation as the most fallen one. And my reaction to this was, and still is that, okay, maybe I am not a pure devotee, but still I am, because that is my essence. So am I right or am I wrong?
Well, I think there's, in this situation, I would say there is not really right or wrong. I won't say they were right and you were wrong, or they were wrong or you were right. It's not quite like that, because our relationship with Krishna is a very individual, personal thing, and everyone is different. So someone takes a verse, and we'll see and we'll elaborate on one part of it, and someone else will elaborate on the other part of it according to their relationship with Krishna. The main thing is the sincerity and your intention. Like their intention was made, hopefully, let's say everyone's intention was in the right place. So their intention for saying, oh, we shouldn't say that we're pure devotees, we should be humble, is so that they can feel humble and submissive to the spiritual master in Krishna, and not feel puffed up and proud, right? And
Right.
your intention, I'm sure I can tell from your aura, your, way you're speaking, and your sincerity of wanting to know and being sincerely inquisitive. Your intention was, by saying I'm a pure devotee gives me happiness and enthusiasm that Krishna is so kind. Look what he's done. He's so great. He turned me, who's not a great person, into a pure devotee. And Prabhupada, look what he's done. He's so great. Just by following him, I can also be such a pure devotee. So are either of those wrong?
No. Yes. Thank you very much, Mataji. Now my question for today. You brought to us with your amazing class, Bhagavad Gita as it is, text 12, and if you allow me to read it, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So my question is related to this verse, and it is as follows. So I am eternal. My question is it that to realize that I am eternal solves all my problems, material problems and spiritual ambitions? I am asking this question because if I am poor today, maybe because I am eternal, one day I will be rich. You're laughing. You're encouraging me. Thank you.
No, I don't. I'm not laughing.
No, I'm feeling encouraged because I understand that your laughing is pure. Thank you very much. and well-intentioned. You are giving me courage because this is a difficult question. And if I am not a pure devotee today, maybe because I am eternal, one day it will happen. So my question is, how productive can eternity be?
Yes, very good question. This is a very profound question and a very philosophical question, because knowing that I'm eternal, well, first of all, I knew that I'm happy that you were going there, that if I'm not a pure devotee now, maybe I will be later because I'll have time to do that. So that's why I was laughing, because that's what I was thinking already. But thank you for that. Knowing that I'm eternal, Sat Chit Ananda, knowing that I Sat, eternal, is only part of, it's like a step. It's a step towards, if I'm eternal, then what will I do for eternity? And there must be something bigger than me out there. But, you know, that makes, it's kind of a logical step that you would think, if I'm eternal, then what is there going to be? What will I be doing the rest of my days eternally? And what is the most important thing to do? And what is bigger than me out there that makes it so, you know, there must be some big, vast life out there that's eternal. So it makes you start thinking, is there a spiritual world? Is there a hell? Is there a heaven? Is there, so people will question. It actually, I mean, I think I experienced that when I was young, because I was brought up, again, my son explained, in a Catholic background. There was the sense of devotion to God. There was the understanding that we are eternal souls, and that we are meant to love God and serve him for our lives. And I wanted to know more. So when I was in I think you're 6 or 7 years old when you get the catechism school, and first communion. So I was about 6 or 7, and in the class they kept one of the lessons that we were learning was God is the supreme being. And I was like, okay, and we had to repeat, who is God? God is the supreme being. Who is God? God is the supreme being. Then finally I raised my hand. I was so excited. And I said, what is he being? I want to know what he's being. Because it's not just enough to be eternal. Like you're saying, eternality. Is it enough? It's not enough to just hear that God is being. He's the supreme being. But what is he being?
Yes.
What is he doing? So of course, the teacher shut me down and said, we don't ask questions like that. How dare you? And I remember thinking, that's just because she doesn't know. But someday I'm going to find out what God is being.
Yes, of course.
So Prabhupada is giving us Sat, Chit, Ananda. He's giving us Bhakti Vedanta, the love and the knowledge, the devotion and the happiness and the love and the knowledge, the Bhakti and the Vedanta, along with the Chit. Chit is just a given. But just to be eternally what is not productive. You're right. So thank you very much. That was a good question. And I just want to point out that in that purport, and in many, many purports, Srila Prabhupada always takes advantage to talk about Mayavad philosophy, because they also believe in eternality, but they don't go much further than that. So that's why Prabhupada is talking about, you know, in a very concise, practical way, he's defeating impersonalism in this verse, particularly because eternality is not enough. So thank you. It's a very good question.
Ananga Mataji, usually I say this at the very end of the lecture, but I will say it now. Lots of love from Portugal.
Oh, thank you. Someday I hope to visit.
Yes, and do not worry about the mantra. The same mantra here.
Yes. Well, my point was that, you know, even no matter what language we call out to the Lord, and however accent and whatever it sounds like, and whatever instruments we use, whether it's guitar or whatever, the Lord is loving this. He's accepting it and loving it. So.
Okay, if you allow me, in Portuguese, the accent is different from the English accent. So I will say it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the Portuguese version of the mantra.
Thank you. Beautiful.
You're most welcome. Amazing. You are the best. Thank you very much.
I have a funny story that when since we're discussing, you know, our heritages, my family is Italian, and when I came home the first day from the temple, that I wore tilak and a sari, and I had my beads, and you know, and I'm flying in the house with my sari and going Hare Krishna, and my mother goes, "What are you wearing? What are you wearing?" And I said, "Oh, Mom, it doesn't matter what we wear. We're not these bodies, we're spirit souls." And she said, "You're an Italian soul. You ate spaghetti all your life. Don't you forget it."
My God, my God. Thank you very much.
I heard one time I was cooking pasta in my home for my kids when they were little. And you know, some devotees, they were going, "Oh, we should only have dal rice and sabji and chapatis because that's what Prabhupada ate." And I was cooking pasta and some things. And then right at that moment, I heard a tape, Prabhupada saying, you know, Krishna accepts any prasadam that is offered with love and devotion, and, you know, from any part of the world, you know, doesn't matter what cuisine you have. I forget the words exactly, but so I was like, oh, this is very nice. So we are an international society for Krishna consciousness. And, you know, the main point is to become not self-conscious, but to become Krishna, not to become country conscious or Indian conscious or America. You know, we can argue, oh, India is better than America. No, America is better than India. We can go back and forth. Of course, nowadays, anyway, we won't get into that, but.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you.
One or two more questions.
Okay.
We can
Yes,
take that. We have Shamkun Prabhu. Go ahead, Shamkun Prabhu. You had a quick question.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for a wonderful class. A lot of practical tips based on your personal experience. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I don't have a question, but I would like to take this opportunity to wish Madan Gopal Prabhu, who has been hosting this event for last 4 months. It is his birthday today, so wish you a happy birthday. Thank you.
Okay, happy birthday and many more.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Actually, if I can jump in here as an added thing. So, you know, Madan Gopal serves nonstop, not just at ISKCON of New Jersey, but he also serves as director of ISKCON communications and is involved in so many different capacities in ISKCON. Honestly, many of us have been joining this Sangha daily for the last 4 months. And, you know, I feel if you want to reciprocate with him and make him happy, you know what will please him the most? If you go and offer a donation towards the construction of the new temple in Parsippany, New Jersey, you know, the beautiful building that you see the model rendering off behind his glowing face.
I see.
It does not matter if it's a small donation or a large one. I mean, obviously, if you want to donate $1 million, that's more than welcome. But you can go to iskonparsippany.org for that. Parsippany is spelled with a P as in Peter at the beginning and 2 P's as in Peter in the middle, iskonparsippany.org. And for people on Zoom, I'll put in the link on Zoom itself. Back to you, Madan Gopal. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the very welcome interruption. And thank you, Ananga, Manjari, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Incredibly deep exploration of such a joyous topic and reminding us of the joy that's inherent in our philosophy. And sometimes we tend to forget it. So it's really, really appreciated. And thank you, Vishwambar Prabhu, for the sweetest kirtan with the guitar and such a wonderful introduction. We did have a few more questions lined up. Unfortunately, we're quite out of time. So
Can they be written to me or something? They can write to me?
Yes, I think certain of some of these can be. One question I think we had from Mother Vegavati, but I guess she can talk to you directly since you live in the same town. And then there's another one from I think Radha Vallabha Prabhu. So we can send that to you as well.
Okay, yeah, send that to me.
Yeah,
Great.
can send that
Thank
to
you. So we hope that everyone will be able to accept these times as a great present. It's like we say, not the past or the future, but the present is a gift. So may we accept this present as a gift in some way and make the best of it for each other.
Thank you very much. And so I just have a couple of announcements to make before we open it up. So our tradition is to open it up for everybody to say a quick Haribol to the speakers. So I won't take too long on the announcements for the upcoming speakers. So I'm just going to share my screen. So this is our temple, and the construction has started. That's the machine, and quite a bit of the digging has already happened. I go there every other day, and most of it's already been dug up now, and we'll be having our foundation ceremony on August 8th, which is just 1 week from this Saturday. And our mayor is going to be there and everything. On Saturday mornings, we have His Holiness Sachinandan Swami on this particular series, Life in Bhakti. So don't miss that. If you go to his Facebook page, Sachinandan Swami, 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturdays. We have 3 more sessions still remaining on this series. So definitely see his Facebook page. And upcoming speakers. So today, of course, we have programs 6 nights a week on this channel at 8 p.m. every night, except for Saturday. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj is giving a lecture series on the 2nd canto on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So be sure to join that. Very interactive, very dynamic classes. Of course, today we had Ananga Manjari Mataji. And on Sunday, we have His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu, a very famous speaker in ISKCON. He's a professor, head of department in Utah. So,
and then Tuesday is Amarendra. Oh, good.
And next week, Tuesday is Amarendra Prabhu. And so, yeah, we'll announce those as they come. So please do join our channel as often as you can. We hope that you enjoyed this session as much as we did. And we look forward to seeing you. So if you'd like, you can unmute yourself and say a quick Haribol to our speaker, Ananga Manjari.
Haribol.
Haribol, Mataji, thank you very much.
Haribol, Mataji.
Haribol, thank you so much. This is Dukkha Huntry. Hare Krishna.
Bye.
Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna, wonderful class.
Oh my gosh, Haribol.
Haribol, what an amazing lecture.
Oh,
Amazing lecture. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Ananga
Hare Krishna,
Manjari
Mataji,
Mataji. Thank you so
you.
much for a wonderful class.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Hare Krishna. This was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, Madan Gopal.
Birthday.
Bye. Happy birthday.
Gopal Prabhu.
May your temple grow. May your temple grow.
Ananga Mataji, Ananga Mataji, can you hear me?
Yes.
We don't worry. We also cook Portuguese for our deities.
Oh, I'll come sometime.
Yes, you are most welcome. You are amazing. I love you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for such a wonderful class.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. And happy birthday, Madam Gopal.
Happy birthday, Mananga Gopal.
Hare Krishna, Ananga Manjari.
Madam Gopal.
Kumar. Oh.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Jai. Haribol.